Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar, Sweeter, Faster, Stronger, Transforming SAP Integration Suite with Perfetti Van Melle and ReleaseOwl. To give you a quick overview of what the next hour holds for all of us, we will have an overview of Perfetti Van Melle and their journey towards SAP DevOps. Then we will start understanding DevOps for SAP Integration Suite in specific and how you can achieve SAP DevOps with ReleaseOwl. Then we will move on to the deployment multiverse, which is an exciting new feature that Niranjan will tell you all about, and the vision for the future. And we will leave the floor open for a question and answer session. To give you a little background about our two speakers for the day, we have Niranjan, who is the founder and CEO of ReleaseOwl, with nearly 2 decades of experience in DevOps and SAP. As a firm believer in the power of DevOps, he strives to further the DevOps movement into the SAP space using ReleaseOwl, which is a native DevOps suite designed specifically for the SAP platform. And we have Ido, who is the COE Manager Integration for Perfetti Van Melle. And he brings nearly 2 decades of experience into the role and is an esteemed SAP expert. He plays a pivotal role in driving integration and development strategies, contributing significantly to the company's technological advancements and operational excellence. With that, I'd like to hand it over to Ido to start off.
Yes, thank you very much. Welcome, everyone. For most people, the name Perfetti Van Melle does not immediately ring a bell. But if you're saying to them, we are manufacturing one of these brands which you see on the screen. The most famous one, I believe, is Mentos. Very well known all over the world. Then people recognize the company almost immediately. So next slide, please. Yes. So a little bit about our company. We are a global company. Originally, we started out as 2 different companies. One Dutch-based company called Van Melle and an Italian-based company called Perfetti. And in the 2000s, Perfetti actually merged with Van Melle, creating a Perfetti Van Melle. And a couple of years later, we purchased the Italian company Chupa Chups, famous for the lollipops. And what you see here is the actual figures from 2022. And you can see this, that we are producing our candies in 33 manufacturing facilities. And in total, we have 39 different operating companies all over the world. And nearly 18,500 employees worldwide. This brings me to the next slide. I think we're missing one in there. Oh no, that's fine. So being a global company, we come from a so-called local by local strategy. And you see this here in this picture, where we have almost per operating company one SAP system as the central core instance for that operating company. And around this local SAP instance, we have global applications and we have a lot of local applications. And how are we connecting all these systems? We're doing this with 3 integration platforms, 2 in Europe and 1 in China. And this goes pretty well because everything is separated. The local SAP instance is connecting with the local instances, and we have no collision of traffic. But since 2 years, we started a big new project, and it means we are going to centralize all these local SAP systems into one big new S4 system, also with a central integration instance. And you can then see if we have all these local systems which are communicating to the central SAP instance that collisions of integrations are about to happen. And we needed something to streamline this a little bit. So this is one part of the problem that we were experiencing, and the other part is in the next slide. The project teams are growing. We are separated into an operational team, consistent of 5 persons, and into different project teams, and that varies depending on the number of projects we are doing. So we have internally 7 persons working on projects, and externally, it varies between 10 to 20 integration consultants working for us in different projects. And you can then imagine, okay, one slide back, please. Can you go one slide back, please? Oh yeah, sorry, we're there. Yeah. It's a little bit slow for me. You can then imagine if we're working on different projects and you're trying to work on an interface which is, for example, distributing material information to various local systems. And if that's all being handled in one integration flow, that's going to create a collision. So if project A is working on this and project B also wants to do something on this, how can you make sure that everything is going smoothly, that you are not going into collision with each other? So we've done several things in this. Go to the next slide, please. We're looking for something to control our development. So how can you make sure that if I have a version 1 on my development system and I want to bring this to production, that at the same time not a version 2 is created and the version 2 is being brought to production before version 1. That's going to create quite some problems, of course. Also want to make sure that, hey, who has done which part of the development? And also get more control over the quality of work. You have so many people working on these integrations that sometimes it's pretty difficult to get control over this. Next step in there is restricting the authorizations on production. Also noticed that with so many different people in there with too broad an access, they start doing developments actually in production. So that's also something you don't want to have, of course. And last part in there, versioning control. Like I mentioned, you want to make sure that you're going to deploy your versions in order which you created them. So we started out with the help of ReleaseOwl in this journey, and we started out with a proof of concept, basically exploring the capabilities of ReleaseOwl. Hey, what can you do with this? We set clear boundaries. Hey, this is what we want to use this for, and this is how we should be working with ReleaseOwl within our company. So we started up by using this in smaller projects, and that was working quite nicely. I did some minor tweaks here and there, and we're now into the path where we are going to use this in a global rollout of S4. And with ReleaseOwl, we can actually get more control over the development. Nothing is going to the next phase without one of the internal peoples revising the actual development. Okay, next slide, please. So, summarize some of the challenges we faced. We have, of course, pretty complex scenarios. So a lot of data is going to a lot of different local systems. How are we going to manage these? How are we going to stay in control over the version and change management? Someone made a change, and what exactly is this change? That is sometimes quite difficult to find out. Some automated testing and deployments in there. You can in ReleaseOwl, which we are not using yet, we can have some automated testing in the tooling. But what we are using is making sure that we have a check against some of the are key best practices which are embedded in ReleaseOwl. So when you put an integration object onto a transport, it's being checked against the security measures, for example. Is it compliant with our best practices? So that check is being done automatically. And then later on, we have a fine, more granular check, which is then a manual check, which is basically checking, hey, is the integration logic, does this make sense? Is this also in line with our best practices? But it does save us quite some time in that. Okay, next slide, please. I think we're going back to you, Niranjan.
Yep. Thank you, Ido. It is the journey of DevOps with you and your team has evolved the integration suite component of ReleaseOwl significantly, considering the complexity of your systems and the scale of operations. And as a DevOps platform, ReleaseOwl firmly believes in the need for DevOps. See, DevOps is not just about deployments. It's about how quickly you take changes to market, how well you can take your changes into market, and how resilient is your software. So it adds a lot of dimension to your overall development process. And with continuous testing, you can have much more quality and reliability in your integrations and applications. DevOps also fosters collaboration. It's just about not one person doing it anymore. You have teams working in multiple geographies, multiple time zones, cross-functional teams, and it is all about each other to be able to review each other's changes effectively, to be able to approve, not just go and do an approval in the email and come back and to log into SAP Box to see what is the changes, find it very hard to compare versions. That is not scaling. And what ultimately DevOps gives you back is if you're able to optimize 10% of your work, you are giving 10% back to your company for innovation in terms of the features delivered, in terms of the customer experience, in terms of the revenue realized. It's 10% given back to the company. That is where DevOps find its strength. Next slide, please. So with that vision, we have started ReleaseOwl a few years back when we looked at the states journeys of customers. Customers are on ECC maintaining with their maintenance projects. Customers were migrating from ECC to S4, and part of their journey, it's a brownfield transformation. And then customers who are started to implement on greenfield and S4, and then there is BTP that has come in. So we looked at customers in different journeys, in different states. Each, whether it's ECC, whether it's S4, whether it's BTP, whether it's CPI, the artifact models are quite different. And then the packaging is different. So what is this? How does customer manage this holistically? Is the vision behind ReleaseOwl. ReleaseOwl is a native DevOps platform built on SAP, built for SAP, which takes care of transport management, BTP, CPI, which is integration suite, and then we also have excellent support for analytics cloud. So with ReleaseOwl, customer like Perfetti, who has wide range of SAP systems in multiple geographies, needs to consolidate and drive holistic change and release management. That is what ReleaseOwl is aimed at. So I just talked about it. Automated packaging deployments, continuous integration. From a CPI standpoint, because we are talking more in the context of CPI, we have deployment support, backup and rollback. We have governance rule engine where you can specify security rules. configurable rules in the UI. We also have a test generator where you play the iFlow with trace enable, and it's all the tests are generated in on a button click in ReleaseOwl, which we will demonstrate now. And then there is out-of-the-box integration with ALM tools, be it Jira's of the world, Azure DevOps, or if you have your change management in ServiceNow, your change tracking and CRs are in ServiceNow. We have out-of-the-box integration with ServiceNow. If you have Tosca, Worksoft, UiPath, we have rich integrations with all these testing tools out of the box. So what it means is you can fit SAP into your enterprise tool chain quite seamlessly with ReleaseOwl. So this is a quick view of how a typical day will look like for an SAP team with ReleaseOwl. Let's say you have Jira where the stories are assigned to developers, and then developer works on iFlows, value maps, whatnot, integrations, makes those changes, then adds these changes to your user stories, and then they are submitted for validation where security checks are done. And then this result is given for peer or lead to review and then approve or reject this change. Based on this change, based on this approval, then deployment will happen into your QA box. After that, you can have functional tests. We have our CPI tests that are generated from ReleaseOwl. You can also have functional tests from Tosca or whichever or your tool of your choice, and then run regression tests on it. And every step will be written back to your ALM tool so that for your project managers, your ALM continue to be your source of truth, because every single activity that is being done in ReleaseOwl in terms of a approval, in terms of the deployment that happened, who did it, everything will be written back into your Jiras of the world. After that, it will automatically raise a change request to ServiceNow if you have ServiceNow. And these are all optional things. I'm just giving a grand vision of how it will be. And with all the context, imagine a change request created in ServiceNow with all the context of the quality results, approval information, details of the flows or transports that are created, and is all written into the change request where the team can make much more informed decision and approve a production go live. And then the changes will be deployed to production, after which you have your checkout activities in terms of signing off the production deployment. And before we go to the demo, let me set some context on what you can see in the demo. So we have Jira, like how I explained in the previous slide. Maybe one step before, just to. So we have Jira in the demo where the stories are integrated or fetched from Jira into ReleaseOwl, and then you can make changes to your CPI. You can configure your release pipeline where to define exactly how the change should be validated, approved before it goes to production. And the change will be subjected to all the security checks, testing, and deployed, and you will see everything in action. So this is what we will take you through the demo. So I have Rahul with me. Rahul comes from solution architecture team, and he is the one who is behind a lot of CPI initiatives.
Yeah. Hi everyone. Just let me share my screen. I hope you are able to see my screen.
Yes. And meanwhile, kindly please post your questions here, and we will answer them as we go through. So what you see on the left-hand side is the ReleaseOwl menu that you can see the dashboard, where you can see the list of stories that are open, deployments that are in progress, which are passed, which are failed, and the last test cycles, and the recent release details that has happened. And then you have the change management block, which is about, if you have Jira or Azure DevOps, you can get the stories here. Or customers who are starting agile journey do not have a Jira or Azure DevOps, things like that, but they just want to have some rudimentary task management, create sprint, create some tasks, assign them and deploy changes. We have a rudimentary change management module within ReleaseOwl also. For this demo, as I mentioned, we have the stories that we have brought from our Jira, and you can see all these stories. And story 157 is something that we will use for this demo. Okay. Next is the build section, where this is the central piece of ReleaseOwl, where if you are using ECC or S4, you can pretty much create transports, synchronize your transports from S4 into here, validate your transports, perform impact analysis like dependency checks, downgrade protection checks, critical object checks. After that, you can promote them. We also have a very dynamic retrofit, which is moving your transports from one landscape to another. One tool where you have it in browser, where you can resolve the conflicts, and then you can retrofit, write everything right from conflict resolution to retrofit is available in browser. Then we have CPI management, where you can see your iFlows. Can we click on the CPI management, please?
Yeah.
Where you can see the packages, and you can click on each package. You can see the list of artifacts in the package. And you can also synchronize. You can also synchronize these artifact level or package level or your entire sub account level. Now, let's go back. And you can look at, let us go back. Let's complete the build section. So SSE is where you have Analytics Cloud, all your data sources, CSVs, everything can be fetched, can be synchronized, and can be deployed. When it comes to BTP applications, we took the little bit different route with build pipelines, because BTP traditionally has Git. Whether BTP or Fiori projects where Git is involved, we need to fetch from Git, then create a bundle, then run checks like SonarQube, and then keep the package available for future deployments. That's where we have the concept of build pipelines. And irrespective of what kind of packaging you have, or what are the technologies in SAP that you use, the strength of ReleaseOwl lies in its release pipeline. So with release pipeline, you can pretty much define your change management process where in a unified manner, and based on the type of artifact, ReleaseOwl can dynamically deploy to various SAP environments. So let us look at what is the pipeline that we have set for this demo. So you can look at, this is the heart of ReleaseOwl, where we define the stages. Each stage corresponds to an environment with a set of actions. So here, for example, we have QA, where we have validation. If it is ECC, it runs ATC checks. Then it runs APEP units and code coverage. If it is CPI, it runs our security rules. We will show it to you. If it is BTP, it runs SonarQube, JSLint, OPA 5. So, and then after that, you see the peer review. All the validations are sent for peer review for approval or rejection. So the peer or lead can look at the validations and the changes that are being made and make a much more informed decision. After that, we have a deployment step. This deployment, you can pretty much deploy artifacts which have transports, CPI artifacts, SAC artifacts. You can pretty much design in one. That's what we call deployment multiverse. In one deployment request, you can deploy to all these SAP boxes, and ReleaseOwl intelligently identifies based on the artifact definition and where it will be deployed. And then you have regression test where you can run your tests. With ReleaseOwl for CPI or integration suite, we have the capability to generate test cases, and based on the artifact type, ReleaseOwl will intelligently decide what tests to run, and it will run. So that we will show you. For others, you can configure your test cases, test suites, which you have, Toscas or the old HCL1 test. There are quite a few test tools out there in the market. And at every step, you see the user story update, where it will write the information back to Jira. So we can go back to Jira and look at what are the various things done. So similarly, prod, we have few tasks that we have lined up for prod as well. And just click on the add. So you have you can see the number of tasks that are available. You can deployments, approvals, manual tasks. If you want to call external systems, let's say you have Jenkins running your tests, you can call Jenkins and get the results back. And we have a message listener framework as well. So these tasks enable you to pretty much, and you have stop conditions where you can say if there's a P1 violation, stop the build. Or if there's a CPI issue, rules violated, stop the progression of the pipeline. We can set stop conditions. So with this, what a team can confidently do is to roll out a proper change management practice and define exactly from development to production how the change should be tested, how the change should be validated, how the change should be approved before it goes to production, and what are the audit points that need to be captured. All right, this is an overview of the build section and the release section. Now, to keep the context of the demo, we will focus more on the CPI side of it. So I let Rahul make some changes, and maybe a little bit selfishly, we will add a transport also to things, just so that you have the multiverse going through. So let us look at, and I let Rahul show the change that he has made.
Yeah, we can right away go into the artifact and just make a little change to the artifact. Just let me
have an order conversion form that order conversion iFlow that you are working on.
So not a big change. I just want to change the name for this. Doctor, and I will be saving this as my new version. This is a small change, but it can be depending on what change that you want to make to the artifact, you can do it. Once you do it, you'll be saving this as a version. And as a developer, you might be done with your changes now. So
let's look at the platform. Now let's look at the package to see where is our iFlow in this. 1.0.3 is our current version. Now let us synchronize.
So once you synchronize, it will update to the latest version that we have made changes. So it got updated to 1.0.4 now.
Yeah, now let us compare this with previous version, just so that we can see what are the changes done. So with ReleaseOwl, you can compare multiple versions of a particular artifact or multiple environments as well. Let's compare versions.
So you just need to select which version you want to compare against and just click on compare version so that it will compare it and show it to you. So you can see that we have modified the name and it is showing the exact change that we have modified. And if you there might be multiple changes that you might have made, and there will be multiple sections shown according to that. At the moment, only one section is made, it is available. And if you want to see the entire scene, just press on full view so that it will show you the full file details over here, right away.
Yeah, we are good, Ron. Let's move on. Yeah. So yeah, you can compare versions and you can compare across environments. So we have synchronized this package.
Yes.
Now, let's
see what else we can do in the result. So not only you can compare your versions, but you can also compare your configuration settings as well. That means not only you can compare, but you can also maintain your configuration settings over here in ReleaseOwl. that will help you to actually deploy these values when you try to deploy your artifacts from ReleaseOwl. So here you can see we have the versions compared, the configuration changes compared against the environment. You can maintain your configuration settings over here. And whatever values that you have maintained over here, we will be deploying these configuration settings along with when you try to deploy your artifact with the ReleaseOwl. So otherwise it becomes a manual activity that you need to perform if you go deploy without ReleaseOwl.
Yeah. So when you are deploying, ReleaseOwl can preserve these values.
Yeah.
And when deploying artifacts, it will update these values and then do the deployment. Okay. Now let's as a developer, Rahul has completed his change. Now let us take this change. Let us look at the validation rules that we can configure.
Yeah. So to configure the validation or your CPI governance, so we have an engine called CPI rules for the static code analysis, where you can define what rules you want to run against for your artifacts. So for your iFlow. So here you can maintain those rules over here, what you have given. And according to the rules that you have defined in ReleaseOwl, we will validate your iFlow and give you the validation report or the governance report for your iFlow. So you can also make naming conventions and other values that we have provided. Depending on this, it will validate. So this is for your CPI governance.
And it is very powerful in terms of, because your iFlows, your integration boxes touch SAP systems, non-SAP systems, to be able to set tight security rules, to be able to run on every single change that's being made will ensure a lot more integrity in the overall process. So these are by default, we have the rule engine configured, but it is web-based. You can configure it. You can add, remove some things based on your architectural practice. And then what we have is a test generation tool that we want to show you. So now that as a developer, Rahul worked on an iFlow, and then say we want to generate test cases for this. Now let's generate test case. It's all a button click that we will have, and we'll choose the iFlow that we want to generate test cases. And then we click fetch activity messages. It will go read the iFlow and read the activities, read the messages within the activities, and it will generate the test cases. And you can see every step here created. So what all it takes for you to generate test cases is that button click.
So once you generate this, the test cases will be added over here. Just give me a moment. The test cases were already executed. Just a moment.
Maybe while it is in progress, maybe
it's taking time. I will show you already generated test case.
Yeah.
So we'll have a clarity.
Maybe we can come back after 1 minute and then see.
Yes.
Yeah.
So here, once you create a test case, we'll get the messages from your iFlow that you have executed earlier. And based on those message logs, we'll be creating a test case over here. So these are all the messages that you are able to see, which were created from the test message logs that were created and fetched it into the ReleaseOwl. So this, you can see the details. All the message logs are available over here, and against these details, we will be executing your iFlows again for your regression testing over here, and we will identify if there are any mishap is happening in the test cases, and if there are any, then we will stop the pipeline according to that.
So like this, so when we click generate test case, we'll have the test case with all the activities and steps, and if you want to edit, you can edit. Now let us go back. So what we have now is a change made in CPI, a validation rules that are ready to verify this, and a test case that is generated. Okay. Now what is it we will do? We take this change to the pipeline. So let us go to the user story that is assigned to you, Rahul, and let us add the artifact to this user story. So you have a user, this is where developer cycle will start. What I have shown you till now is all the preparation, create the pipeline, and then set up the rules and have the test cases. That's all preparation work that we do as part of setup. Once we have that, now from a developer's point of view, this is the only screen that they need to look at. Go to their user story, see the details of user story, and then whether you want to add transports, whether you want to add CPI artifacts, SSE packages, you can just add them to your story. For this demo, because we want to show multiverse of deploying multiple artifacts at once, so we have a transport that Rahul has added. And then let us also add our CPI artifact that we have modified.
So this is my latest change. I just need to drag and drop and say, okay. That will add the artifact to the user story that I'm working on. So
now, let us click save.
As a next step, I will be saving this.
Yeah, this is all what developer will do. Go to the user story, add the artifact that he or she worked on, and then click save. Now, either independently, developer can validate. We have a validate button over there to get feedback, early feedback. And you can also validate it through the pipeline. Just to avoid redundancy, we will validate it through the pipeline. So now what we need to do, let's assume it's all good. Now I will promote this story. So just click promote. This is all one click. Attach your artifact, click promote. Now the pipeline will start. The pipeline that we discussed before will start. So it is validating. Because there is a transport, it will run transport validations. And because there is CPI, it will run the security rules, and it will give us the report. Let us give probably 30 seconds. Oh, I think it's done. Right. Now, this is all sent to peer review. Either we can look at validation report here itself, or because there is a peer review associated, you will have a peer review. For convenience, we have given Rahul himself to avoid multiple logins into SAP, but you can assign this to pretty much anybody. And when they log into ReleaseOwl, in their My Task section, they can see the task available for approval. The same task is available to them in email also. From email also, they can come to ReleaseOwl and look at their task. Now here you can see, I am a reviewer, I am the manager, looking at things. Okay, what are the stories that are part of it? Okay, this is the transport that is added. This is the artifact that is added. Now, what is the quality part of it? Let's click on validation report to see what do we have. So there is a transport report where it is released, and there is a warning in downgrade protection. Let's click and see what is that warning, and there's details on which transports not yet imported, the challenges that are there. And then we have cross-reference checks, cross-release checks, critical object checks. If we have the ABAP unit will run, and you will have the test results here. And then we have code coverage for the ABAP units like branch, statement, procedure coverage. There's out-of-the-box integration with ABAP test cockpit that runs and gives you errors, warnings that are there. These are all related to transport side of the world. Now we have CPI governance, where you can see the violations that are there, and you can look at those violations, and then you can take necessary actions. So all this is available for the lead to take a decision whether to approve or reject the change. That is showing a lot of failures just so that you can see how it reports these issues. Now let us assume, in the interest of the webinar, let's assume that this is all good, and then the lead approves or your peer approves the change. Click approve, and it will continue to the next step in the pipeline. Now it is about deployment. Because there is a transport, we define the end route for the transport in our pipeline. It will deploy the transport. And that after that, because we define destination for CPI, it will go and deploy the CPI artifact into the destination.
Let's give it some time as the transport is getting deployed. Yeah. So transport has been deployed, and as well as the CPI artifact that we have added to the user story is deployed our QA environment.
you can see upload status, you can see the configuration parameters updated, and you can see the deploy status also. Okay. Now continuing our conversation. So, and yeah, these are the tests which are dynamically picked up for our artifact that we modified. And then you can see the tests that are run. You can see the tests that are executed. And you can see the details of it is still running. So let us, it will run. Let us continue. And so in the interest of time, we have 15 minutes. This is where I think we will take a pause so that we can have some time answering any questions that are there. And in terms of infrastructure and setup, we can go to dashboard, Rahul. And in terms of infrastructure and setup, ReleaseOwl is a SaaS platform. For CPI, what all we need is your sub account. So just configure your sub accounts and we can get started. So there is no involvement of installations of, you don't need additional infrastructure installation, and there is Git support. If you have Git repository to back up your iFlows and all artifacts, we have Git integration as well. If you want to look at ReleaseOwl for transport management, wherein, so we have a package which has a couple of services, OData services for our the impact analysis and dependency analysis that we have. So that package needs to be extracted into your environments. Again, no complex infrastructure, no complex installations are required, and it is very easy to just add your domain controller here, gateway controller here, and we get started. In terms of integrations with how do we connect your SAP boxes, our recommendation is Cloud Connector, which most customers have these days. And we have other things like VPN and all that, but Cloud Connector is our recommended connection model for your S4 side of the world. If it is BTP, CPI, SEC, directly configure your environments here. And then we have a tenant created for you as a SaaS tenant. And then you are registered your environment and you can get started. We are a certified product from SAP available on SAP Store. And we are architecturally, security-wise, we are all certified as an OEM partner of SAP. Now let's go back to slides. We have a couple of slides that we'll talk through, and if you can bring up the slides, please.
Yes, sure.
Yeah, please play the slides. Next slide. Multiverse that I talked about, very powerful for enterprises who is really investing into SAP to have a product like ReleaseOwl taking care of your entire change and release management process. It will be invaluable. Next slide, please. So again, in terms of vision, we will be investing into AI and ML as we go forward in terms of identifying predictive monitoring and a lot more collaborative environments, and look at integration issues based on historical data points and bring predictive analytics. So as a company that is investing into DevOps, as a company that is investing into making great customer experiences, our vision for integration suite goes much deeper to add a lot more predictive analytics into the scheme of things. Next slide, please. And we are not just a great platform, but we are also building a great community where we conduct regular workshops and teams who want to upskill into the DevOps side. So we conduct free workshops and trainings followed by certification program. So if in your company, and this is not just on ReleaseOwl, we train them on DevOps principles, how to do with ReleaseOwl, how to do manually. So our goal is to build a great DevOps community. So we have so far 400 plus members and a lot of certifications you might be seeing on LinkedIn as well, teams getting certified. And this is something, our entire product documentation is online, docs.releaseowl.com. You will find entire ReleaseOwl product documentation updated. We have a 24/7 help desk. And in the success community, we also have discussion forum. We are launching now the discussion forum to discuss more about the platform among the users of the product. So my recommendation, register for the community or in your teams. If you want to upskill on DevOps, we are here to do that as part of our commitment to SAP. So we are at Orlando. If you are visiting Sapphire Orlando in June, we will be there. And we are also a silver sponsor of SAP Sapphire Barcelona. So we will all be available there at the booth. Booth details are on the slide. So if you're visiting SAP Barcelona or if you're visiting Orlando, so you can have in-person meeting where we can discuss a lot more about your SAP architecture and how ReleaseOwl can enable faster go-to-market and much more resilience into your applications. So before I leave, I want to once again personally thank Ido, because if customers drive any product to success, Ido has been phenomenal in not just giving suggestions, but also an avid user of the platform. So Ido, closing remarks from your side before we pass to Q&A.
Well, one thing I would like to mention is that during the trial period, we experienced some issues, and that was I think it was a little over a year ago or something, which was not really in line with what we were aiming for. And I thought it was really nice that to experience that you are actually listening to what your customers are saying, and you're quite fast to if a bug was encountered, to come up with a fix, and or even listen to, hey, what exactly is it what we need, and you managed to deliver that. So you don't see that quite often. That's something I would like to mention.
Thank you, Doug. We sincerely respect your time, and we appreciate your contributions to product and your customer experience with the product as well. So we have 5 minutes. Let me look at any questions that we have. There are some questions that we can see. Anupam Datta, I am interested to see the demo, how the pipeline works. Sure. We will have something scheduled for you. How this compares to Jira, GitHub, and associated with DevOps. So Karthik, you might have seen through the demo where Jira and GitHub are part of your software development lifecycle, and ReleaseOwl governs the entire tooling, right? From fetching stories from Jira to pushing your iFlows to GitHub to deploying them to various sub-accounts. So it orchestrates your entire tooling like Jira or GitHub. I hope that I answered your question. How this compares to SAP chart? Great question. So this is a question that we get. I appreciate this question. So there are two things now, and we just should not talk about charm. We should talk about Solman charm on one side. We should talk about Cloud ALM on the other side. So we have these two, and actually we should talk about Cloud ALM because I know from what we see in the roadmap of ALM, I think Solman is reaching its end of life. So they're trying to migrate everything to Cloud ALM. But the way Cloud ALM is evolving is again reinventing the ITSM side of it. But it's just trying to be the cloud version of Solman, which may take quite some time. And if you look at their roadmap, not even transport retrofit is there today. There not even transport deployment is there today. There is no custom workflows. There is no, I mean, it has at least 2 to 3 years to go. So ReleaseOwl has these capabilities from last 4 years and is a cloud application. So that's what I want to put. Solman, even from an SAP context, is no longer in the game in the near future. And SAP Cloud ILM at least takes 3-4 years to really be at a point where they want it to be. So we are ahead of the game with due respect to both of them, because if they are not there, DevOps vision itself is not there in the first place. Any additional licenses need to have for ReleaseOwl SAP DevOps? Yes, money. ReleaseOwl has its licensing, and we can share those details with you. But you can start small, like you can take a module for CPI or SAC. There's an enterprise license where you can enter all the SAP stack. For all the SAP technology components, you have one license, or you can pick your license for the module that you want to explore. If it is for the S4, if you want to take the module wise, let me give some more detail. If you want to take it to for your S4 HANA or ECC, it is box based. So irrespective of number of users, you can have it for your SAP landscape. If it is for your cloud side, where you want for BTP or CPI or SAC, it is user based. So you can pick up 5 users, 10 users based on your size of the practice. We'll take one last question. We are at 11:58. Yeah, as I mentioned, it is a SaaS platform. So just connect your sub account and we can get started. Yes, there is playground that you can utilize, but we recommend to directly connect your systems and work to it. Or if you want to utilize for transports, if you want to have, we have around huge infrastructure. If you want to try it on our playground for the S4 HANA or ECC, we have our ready-made playgrounds that we can roll out. ReleaseOwl is certification. ReleaseOwl is certified by SAP. ReleaseOwl is ISO certified. So in terms of compliance, you have it all covered. And we deal with a lot of enterprise customers. Not many even today in SAP world can understand DevOps. So, but with SAP's cloud first strategy coming in, modern development experiences, to be able to deliver faster, it's no longer those 6-month, 9-month releases. It's all about releasing in a week. So this is the thought process that is driving customers to DevOps, but still a lot more the adoption has to come in the SAP DevOps space. Okay, I think we are on top of the hour. Your effort, your time, and is sincerely appreciated. And thank you once again for giving your time and valuable insights in the webinar.
Yep. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Signing off.
Okay, bye.